Welcome back to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba.
And I'm Irvin Price.
All right, we're speaking with Johnny Johnson, Chairman and CEO, Hit King Baseball, and his guest, Mike Morgan. Johnny, Mike, thank you for coming back on the show. Welcome here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Yes. Definitely for having me, and we'll pick this back up.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Johnny, we were left off, and Mike, chime in anytime you want. Let's talk about the stories that you were about to bring out on the last segment, and then I want to move into what's going on in the future with Hit King, because this has really become a hot item for investment. There's a lot more of it showing up than I ever thought would happen. But please start with the stories.
Certainly. So real quick, some of those stories, me being a kid looking through the fence, yelling at these pro players, Steve Garvey, he took time out of batting practice, signed an autograph. Well, when I met him as a man in this business venture with Hit King, I sent him a picture of that autograph and thanked him that our paths had crossed years ago. Same thing with George Foster. The first pro game I ever went to, George was playing center field, and he and I got to talk about that game up in New York when he was with the Mets. And then, strangely enough, last month I was down in the Dominican looking to expand our program, and I got to spend 2 days with Bobby Valentine. I shared with him some stories, and Bobby Valentine was coaching third base the night of my first pro game when George was playing center field. Then I've told you a little bit about Pete and other stories like that. But with Mike Morgan on the line with us today, when you asked me earlier about the families, when Mike came to my house, took time out of his busy schedule to throw me batting practice just for the fun of it, and then went to the field, sat in the dugout, coached our kids. He spent family time with us. I remember it was a Sunday because we were going to be on the ball field. We missed church, so we did church at home. Mike participated, and my sister-in-laws happened to be there that weekend, and Mike remembers their names. They remember him. I mean, he just spent time with the family, and all these players, when George comes to town, we go pick him up, we eat lunch with him, we eat dinner with him. He laughs and jokes with the players and with the kids, and they love these guys, and that's the part about the family aspect that these guys bring, because it's not just a name and some dollars. Mike and listeners here on the show. It is real guys who have a real passion, who played at a super high level, and a lot of them Hall of Famers and very accomplished in the sport of baseball. And they take time out with our players and families, and that is what means the most. That makes us different than I dare say all the other programs out there.
I would have to agree. Now, Mervin's got a couple of questions for both of you, so let me back up and let him come in there.
Hello, Mike. This question for you. When you came on earlier, you were almost grieving about the ebbing tide of baseball in popularity. What do you think needs to be done to change that?
I have I missed the question. Say that, Mervin. Say that again about it's not about the popularity of baseball.
Yeah, when you came on the show earlier, you were talking about how baseball isn't quite where it used to be because of lacrosse and all these other sports and everything else. What would you do to turn the tide?
Yes, and then I say that because lacrosse. When I was a kid in the the 50s, 60s, I didn't know about soccer. I didn't even see a soccer ball. Lacrosse. In those days, it was football, basketball, and baseball, and youth programs, and so now across our country, you got a lot of competition in other sports now, and we're losing some kids that our baseball players going to lacrosse, and God bless them, going to soccer. God bless them. There's education there in colleges to go play lacrosse and go play soccer and get an education first. So as I say that, I just look around now with these youth programs that I'm part of in Utah, and then losing some of our kids going over to another sport, and then God bless them. You have an opportunity to play something else, and you love it, go do it. But we can have some good coaching, some heart parents, and some good youth programs that keep these kids interested in it. And maybe we can not lose some of these kids to lacrosse and lose some of these kids to soccer and lose some of these other kids to other sports. And being a baseball guy, that's all I know. And that's what I was getting into, Mervin, about some of these youth programs across the country losing some of the kids to the sport of baseball. And some great players probably were losing some Hall of Famers in that group, and we'll never know.
Well, Mike, you and I are similar in age, and I grew up in the UK, as you probably gathered. My favorite movies were baseball movies, and Cowboys and Indians, of course, but baseball movies were my favorite. But when I watched those, there always seemed to be a disparity between those people clawing their way up, those talented young men, hurting, working in the minors, and for very, very little money, just a lot of passion and getting very few of them getting to the top where the big money and the big stardom was. Is that still a feature of the sport?
And exactly, there's 30 teams in the sport, and there's a draft every June. There's 40 rounds, and that's 1,200 kids a year. 1,200 kids a year, the chosen ones, and there's a lot more of those baseball players in our world we live in. But 1,200 kids get an opportunity to put their name on a contract, go through the minor leagues, go through the process, and not everybody makes it. I mean, 750 players in the big leagues. Most of us go home. Most of us go home and never get a chance to get to the top. But at the end of the day, as long as we got the heart and we can give it our best, look in the mirror and we gave it our best. And out of one of those 1,200 kids, a couple of those kids happy to make it to the top and make the Hall of Fame. I'm not a Hall of Famer. I gave it heck every time I took the mound. I pitched like a Hall of Famer, but I came a little short in terms of that part of my career. But at the end of the day, it's about playing the game hard, having hope, and hopefully some of those kids that go to lacrosse, go to soccer, that they become doctors and lawyers, and some of us baseball players become doctors and lawyers, because not everybody's going to be a baseball player in the world.
Johnny and Mike, let me jump in for 1 second. The takeaway message, the edge that everybody needs to get from where they are to the top of the pyramid. What does Hit King and the team with Hit King bring as that edge that separates you from everybody else for these young people that you're helping to get up that ladder?
Well, I've heard. I'll use Pete Rose for example, who told us about a player that played with the Reds, and he said when I was managing him, he goes, I would take him when he was at 80% over another guy that I was at 100%, because I knew at 80% he was going to give me more than the guy at 100%. And really for us at Hit King, and that edge that we're looking for and talking about to our players is being aggressive, having the heart that Mike talked about earlier, having that passion, but also that understanding and knowledge of the game, that chess game, if you will. We focus a lot on that with our players. And so, where it's easy to see in football because you see a clock and it's ticking down, and you see somebody like Tom Brady, he could drop back in the pocket and he's perfectly poised and he executes his plays. Well, he's been there enough times to know how to do that. But so I liken that to football, where actually there's no clock, but somebody who knows what to do in a given situation will get the ball, react, and because they are fundamentally sound, I believe it's going to give our players an edge over somebody who's bigger, taller, stronger, faster, who just doesn't quite understand what to do when the ball's hit to them. And so we really work on the mechanics, the fundamentals, the basics, and we stress certain things that is an absolute must that our players need to know. And you know what? You win some games now and then from that, which gives them some more opportunity. But that's really what I think gives us the edge, is that we're not out there trying to just win trophies, Mike. We're out there, and for you listeners here on air, we're not just trying to win trophies. Well, I've heard our coaches tell parents numerous times we could care less about winning a trophy. Now, we care about winning, we care about playing aggressive, but that's not what we're out there to do. We're out there to play and play the game and play right. And Mike mentioned it earlier about the training, the fundamentals. Certain things is lost because a lot of the youth sports has become, more about the money and the fees, and you lose a little bit of that. Well, we're not sacrificing that. So we do our program where we have a lot of focus and attention on the basics of the game, and then as you get to be a higher level, a little bit more of the nuances of the game that you need, that baseball IQ. And so that will help our players get college scholarships, and hopefully, there'll be some of those contracts signed for those 1,200 players that are signed every year in June.
Now, I know we spoke all about what's going on with the psychological and the family side of this business, but there's a money side to it, and we've kind of pushed that to the back, and we've got about a minute and a half, 2 minutes left, but you are also an investment opportunity for people that are out there. They can come grow with you as you're helping form the future lifestyle and career path of these young people. Open that up for about a minute and a half so people can understand what that is that you're bringing to the table beyond helping families and young people grow.
Sure. Well, I'm going to jump in real quick. I'm going to let Johnny answer that, but I want to touch on this too, Michael. This is about, not everybody's going to, get drafted. Not everybody's going to get to the big league. This is about education. This is about an opportunity that Hit King brings to the table. These kids get to go to college, Division I, Division II, Division III, to further their education. And baseball, helps them get there, that's awesome, scholarships. But at the end of the day, I want to touch on the fact that these young men going through the Hit King program, it's not just about playing the game. You got to play, you got to catch it first, you got to throw it, then you got to run, then you got to hit the cutoff man, and you got to be able to hit. But at the end of the day, it's about education, going to school. School is the top priority of the Hit King Baseball Academy, and I wanted to touch on that too, and I'll let Johnny pick it up from there.
Yeah, thank you for that, Mike. So yeah, there is some things we're doing on the investment side. I guess, Mike, it's okay if people want to reach out to me after the show. They can get my name, contact info from www.hitkingbaseball.com. Look for me, Johnny Johnson. Call the number. Somebody will get you over to me. But yeah, we're making our academies. We're opening up the academies across the U.S. and hopefully internationally. There is the money side of it, but what I want to focus on the most is not the monthly dues or the academy side of things. We do a lot of other things from a revenue stream perspective, which makes the investment opportunity attractive so that we can keep our cost affordable for our parents and players, underprivileged kids. We do a lot of work with that aspect so that everybody can get a chance to play baseball. So I know we're running out of time, but if any listeners, any of you guys got any more questions for me, just reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you more about that, specifically.
Great. That's the entire message I wanted to bring out. All right, Mike Morgan and Johnny Johnson, I want to thank you both for taking your time to be on our show.
Michael Mervin, thank you for having us, and go Hit King Baseball. Hopefully we'll see some young men, young ladies out here joining us and in the near future, and God bless everybody.
You too, guys.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, guys. I enjoyed being on your show again. Thank you.
You're welcome. Johnny Johnson, Chairman, CEO, Hit King Baseball, and his partner, Mike Morgan. We'll be right back on the other side of this break with our new guest, and we're going to talk to Hamilton Chang, Ballparks of America. You've been listening to CEO Money, Michael Yorba.
And Mervyn Price.
We'll be right back.